Okay, so this is Talkaoke Pop-Up Talk Show. The whole point of it is it's up to you what you want to talk about, and everyone's welcome to come and take a seat, come and get involved in this. Have you got Marius? Have you got a subject?
I'll have a subject in a few minutes for you guys.
Okay, we've got a new face over here. What's your name?
Vince.
Vince. We got James. We got Marius. Have we got someone else?
Milo. Barback.
How's it going, man?
How you doing? You right?
Yeah, good.
This is Mikey.
My name's Mikey. Okay, and we've got over here. We've got.
Halodonto.
Say that again.
Halodonto. Halodonto.
Always 3 times.
Andra.
Andrew, welcome. And who have we got over here?
Milo.
Milo, welcome. So the whole point of Talkaoke is up to you to decide what you want to talk about. We don't have a subject here. So that's what we need.
We do. It's no boundaries.
No boundaries. What does that mean to you?
I don't know, because the more you talk about no boundaries, you sometimes realise maybe you do need some boundaries, so it's a complicated one.
Okay, do we need boundaries? Do we need boundaries or do we not need boundaries? There's no boundaries about what we can talk about here on Talkaoke. But in life, do we need boundaries at all? Can you get away with no boundaries? Halodontal?
I was going to. You can get away with murder, but I mean.
Yeah, you can.
Depends.
You can get away with murder.
Donald Trump says he can.
Yeah.
Donald Trump says you can get away with murder.
Yeah,
That's
quite
what he
happily.
said. Yeah, so he says.
So there's boundaries for some, but not for others. For the likes of Donald Trump, there's no boundaries. Yeah, but are there boundaries for us? Yeah.
Because we get enforced with these bullshit narratives half the time that we have to adhere to. You know, like working, for example.
So it's the,
slavery. Basically, it's modern day slavery. In that.
So it's the narratives that are providing the boundaries.
We have freedom of speech, but we don't have freedom to yell fire in the theater.
Okay.
So
you don't.
That's boundaries.
You don't have the freedom to yell
Well,
fire.
no, you don't. I don't think you do. Well, you shouldn't have it anyway.
Okay, should we try it here? Fire! Well, it's not a theatre. It's not a theatre. Okay. I mean, what do other people think?
We can do for you.
Yeah.
Fucking fire it.
There are some physiological boundaries that we need a habitable zone in which to inhabit.
Boundaries. That's the thing. We want boundaries.
Do you want boundaries?
I think there has to be boundaries of certain things. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you like to have boundaries in?
Well, I think there should be boundaries to people who start accumulating all the wealth of the world. There has to be a fair distribution of that.
A boundary about how much you can earn or how much you can possess. So what would you like, Milo? Have you got an idea about what you'd like a boundary on?
Physically, I'd say some boundaries are good.
Yeah.
I'd
Give
say
us a good boundary.
boundaries in terms of
A bridge.
yeah, a bridge.
Okay. What do you mean by that, Barbara?
Well, good not to fall if you're walking along.
Okay, so boundaries at the side of a bridge.
Yes.
Okay, what boundaries would you like to have?
I don't know, sometimes, because we'll be talking about mixed and other realities, sometimes the conversation we had before about realities when you're in those realities of like how you handle space and your own space.
Okay, so should alternative realities have boundaries?
Like you getting punched in the face in reality or punched in the face in virtual reality, is that kind of breaking a boundary?
I think we know what we'd all prefer. Come and have a seat on the table of chat. Are boundaries good? Are there some good... Halodontals come up with a good boundary.
On the quantum level, there are no boundaries because everything is possible.
Okay. On a quantum level, everything. We've got a new face over here. What's your name?
Annabelle.
Annabelle. We've got another face over here. What's your name?
Josh.
Josh. So the moment we're talking about boundaries, there's been a suggestion that, no boundaries is the theme of the night, but sometimes boundaries are good. Like rich people should have boundaries to their wealth, for example. You do need boundaries unless it's a virtual reality bridge, you need boundaries on the bridge to not go over the edge.
Even in VR, even in virtual reality.
In virtual reality, you need boundaries, Okay. At the quantum level, there's no boundaries, apparently. Can you explain that a bit more?
Well, on the quantum level, everything is possible.
Everything is possible.
Even the impossible.
Okay.
What's impossible for here now is parallel, tripled than anywhere else, any other.
So in a parallel universe, we're having a better conversation. But it's all of us sitting around the
Conversation
table.
at all.
Yeah. Oh, nothing. Yeah.
Even we're in the middle and you're on the outside.
Whoa, freaky! You're all in the middle. I'm on the outside in a different universe.
So that means that probably it's very good to have boundaries.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting to go beyond the boundaries.
Okay.
That's
You can't go beyond the boundaries unless you've got them. I suppose.
Exactly. So that's why maybe they're good.
Okay.
We know something that we have to go over. Sometimes. When quantum physics allows us, that's...
They're good for this they're good for this reality, but doesn't mean they're good for another reality.
Okay. Okay, come and have a seat on the table of chat. We've got Josh, we've got Annabelle, we've got Milo, we have got Vince, we've got Andrew, we've got Marius and Halodontal. My name's Mikey, what's your name?
Hortense.
What was it?
Hortense.
Otos. We're talking about boundaries. Do we need boundaries?
Sorry?
Do we need boundaries, and if so, what are good boundaries? And do we only need the boundaries in order to transgress those boundaries? That's what we're talking about at the moment. It's a bit abstract. Then we start talking about alternative realities.
I think in an ideal world where everybody would have some sort of common sense, we should be able to choose our own boundaries.
What is common sense?
Okay, so
Common
it's like a sort of
Common
law.
sense may not be mine.
That's it, you see, in an ideal world.
Should we be able to pick out and choose our laws from a menu? If we've got that common sense that Andrew's so...
Who's common sense? Who's common sense?
Yeah, I think it's a concept that everybody really defines, so that wouldn't really work, would it?
Okay, so it wouldn't work when we start to define it. Anything on this side of the table is the quiet side.
Not everyone will ever agree on one thing,
Yeah.
so you'll never have common sense, which is the unfortunate. Like,
Common sense. Just have an ever-evolving common sense and
So it
put
could
it
be
into a
kind of
law.
fluid.
Yeah.
Could it be fluid and dynamic, the common sense?
Sense refers to everyone having one common sense.
Okay, so
sense
it's common sense. Has to have an element of commonality.
So everyone has that common.
Yeah.
agreed majority in a way. It's
Yeah. So not everyone has to have common sense, just the majority of people.
I think it would be amazing to be able to pick up from a menu the type of life you would want to have.
Yeah.
The question is, at what age or what state of your life would you allow a human being to take responsibility for this choice?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Or can you go off menu as well?
This is unlimited, just like the internet. This is unlimited. There's anything that you want. Basically, you create multiplication of realities.
It's philosophy, isn't it? You know, it's like philosophy just continues and continues, just constant inquiry.
But I mean,
so you add to it all the time. It evolves. It's forever evolving system. Yeah.
Evolving. Okay. So we're talking about menu. What would you pick off of the menu of life if you could do such a thing? I mean, in a way, I know what it's like when you go to a restaurant and there's too many things on the menu.
I agree with that. God.
Yeah, you're overwhelmed, exactly. I mean, is that what it would be like?
I would create my own dish. I would create my own menu.
Yeah.
So,
okay, then what would be on the menu?
Whatever I feel like in that moment, I'm not sure right now.
Okay. Can you judge it now? I mean, maybe this would be an ongoing thing. What would you put on the menu of life for tonight?
Freedom of expression, freedom of being, freedom of just coexisting together, no matter how different we'd be, I think.
Okay.
Freedom to be naked if you wanna.
Well, it's a bit cold in here, isn't it? Yeah. So let's get some heaters in here. We need some heaters desperately. Okay. Anything? Okay. So freedom we're talking about, but I mean, are we limited in freedom by our?
By the concept of it. Are we limited by the concept of freedom?
What do you think?
Well, I think we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that.
based on your own confidence of what your own confidence of how far you go with your freedom, because you may want the freedom, but then you're not willing to jump out of the plane. Like, you have the freedom to get in the plane and skydive, but you don't jump. Like, it's how far do you take your own freedom?
Okay, so...
And that confidence.
Okay.
Because it could be unlimited, but it's your freedom could be different.
So in a way we're...
Sociological narratives, how far would you push your freedom?
Yeah, exactly. How far would you be willing to jump out of the plane? You'd say yes.
Yes. I want to jump in the plane. What, have I got a parachute and kill myself?
And I'm going to say, let me go to Vince. Vince, what...
I've jumped out of many airplanes.
Yeah? What, you mean literally jumped out?
Yeah.
Is it hard to kind of step across the threshold of the plane?
The first time I did it, it was different, but after that, it's long as you have the parachute, and as long as the parachute works.
And I guess it has so far.
One occasion it didn't, but
really?
Yeah.
What happened then?
I was on a training mission, and the chute only half opened. It did what's called a cigar roll. You came out, and I rolled, and the parachute
kind
rolled
of
like a
itself
cigar.
up, yeah.
And I went out, came down a little bit hard, landed in some trees.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, what about this question that Annabelle's brought up about freedom and the sort of danger of freedom? Does that kind of apply to anything further than
the only danger is the absence of freedom.
Okay.
That's dangerous.
Okay.
I think what's dangerous in freedom is like there is too many possibilities, and freedom would also be making a choice.
I mean, what's a good number of possibilities?
I think the number of like idealities you have, like the number of ideals you have, path that you could choose, and then when you make a choice or few choices that combine together, then I think it's freedom.
Yeah.
If you have unlimited freedom, you don't make any choices, then you're blocked, and then it's like a game. It's posed.
Okay.
Just because one has many choices doesn't mean that that's unlimited. I mean, you could have unlimited, but you still have the choice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the supermarket, you have a lot of choices.
Yeah, but it doesn't
sometimes I'm getting stuck, I agree, but still...
Where do you get stuck in the supermarket? What part of the supermarket?
When I can't decide what to eat for dinner.
Okay, but is there a particular, like...
Yeah, it actually happened to me to have so many choices in the context of supermarket, because that's the example I brought up.
Is there a particular product that you get stuck on?
Yeah, like even choosing the right bread. I mean, there are so many options for the bread. Like,
Close your hand and pick one up.
Okay, I will try that next.
It's also the confidence of the unknown, because the thing is, there is the choice that is unlimited, but it's the fact that you go based on your prior knowledge or your awareness based on someone else's opinion. Things like this is in the real world, so it's like a matter of just taking that opportunity and that new, well, I mean, because the choice is there, so it is unlimited. It's just a case of then getting past that limit that you've got on there of knowledge.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, that's the limit.
So sometimes Andrew anyway gets paralyzed by a choice, by freedom, when it comes to bread selection.
Yeah, but it's just a more...
of Western society is that the idea of freedom is having multiple choice, ranging from how many coffees you can drink to what you buy. So that's not necessarily a natural freedom, is it?
Yeah.
You know,
So
to me, that's a simulated reality.
What would be
so you become in a simulacrum, which is hyper reality, and everybody's depressed in it because they've had so much choice. They're not actually redefining the basics of their own genealogy.
They're not choosing the right things.
It's false. So you're not really tapping into your old existing properties of the body and the mind.
So what would be a more fundamental choice?
Going shopping just basically facilitates the idea of hunting, doesn't it? But nobody's ever satisfied. Hence the bread.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, it's not helping you to actually be like pure. You know, I think you have to change things.
Yeah.
You know?
Hang on.
Unless you make a plan for your dinner, and then you have to like have sort of system of, let's say, parameters, settings, which I will call like values or qualities, and then it's a way to like choose the most easier, not the easiest, but like the best option at the moment you need it. So, for example, you need something for dinner, you want to cook some stuffing your bread, whatever, so you will choose something that you can stuff your bread in, and then depending on like whether you eat with I don't know, complete bread, or you prefer white bread because it's sugary or stuff like this, and then depending on your values that you create your own system, then your choice will be done basically, but it requires a plan.
Does this allow for exploration? Can you?
Yeah, because you can change every day. You can change every day. You plan. You can change any minute.
Okay. Yeah. Do your taste buds change?
Your taste buds change every 7 years.
Really?
So yeah. Your taste buds change, so your mind changes too with that. Like I mean, it's an I don't actually like 7 years.
Is it really changing or just adapting, growing? Discovering what's there.
What do you feel, Vince?
Well, I was just saying, you were saying earlier that there's too many choices.
Yeah.
Would it not be real freedom would be to know yourself in 1,000 million choices, but to know what you want to choose out of that? That's the freedom, the self-discipline, inner discipline, introspection.
So there's a little bit of self-discovery going on.
Yeah, and is it a matter of that we change, or is what's there allowed to grow and come out step by step? So it's not changing, it's realizing or developing, building a building block.
Self-development.
Self-development.
Through in the supermarket.
The results are having, it's a change, but the process per se is a self-growing.
Right, this is Talkaoke. Come take a seat. Do you ever get paralysed by choice, especially in the bread counter of the supermarket? We're talking about fundamental freedoms here, and can they really be illustrated in a supermarket or restaurant stroke menu setting? We've got Vince, we've got Andrew, we've got Halodontal, we've got
Hortense.
We've got Josh, and we've got Annabelle and Mikey. What's your name?
Caroline.
Caroline, welcome. I don't know really exactly what we're talking about, but it's sort of like this question about freedom. Do we really have freedom? Do we want freedom? Do we desire it?
What would be your ideal shopping?
Or is freedom just a kind of self-development? What's that?
What's your ideal shopping list?
What's your ideal shopping list?
I have no idea yet.
You wouldn't buy anything, I take it?
No, I'd buy things, but going shopping's a mind fuck for me, to be honest. Yeah. It really kind of stresses me out.
Okay, so shopping stresses you out.
Let's
go to Josh, because you've not said much yet, Josh.
I think.
Any thoughts?
Freedom is what you define your own freedom as. So, if there is true freedom, then you are able to pick what your freedom is compared to what someone else's freedom is to be.
Okay, so it's a bit like the thing before. It's kind of self-defining. Like there was this idea earlier on that we should be able to kind of like self-define the laws that govern us, and we do, but in a very long process, dry process.
And I think that freedom, if you talk about limitless freedom, then that means limitless resources and things, and you have to take yourself out of context of what your resources are any given time right now or past, present, future. So you have to think about what would I do if I had access to absolutely every resource properly and limitlessly, and that's the question too, because you don't know, because you'll never be in the position where you have those resources complete.
Okay,
the complete list of resources.
So you're limited by your resource,
You'd have freedom of knowledge as well. So you have knowledge of everything potentially.
Yeah.
If that's true, what your freedom, if that's what you decide your freedom is.
Yeah. Okay. So freedom of knowledge. Caroline, does any of this make sense to you?
I think it's all incredibly biased. The idea of freedom is completely biased.
Biased to what?
In what you're told freedom is.
Right.
So if you're told that freedom is you can buy whatever you want, then you'll buy whatever you want. If you're told that freedom is making the choices that you want, those choices are always going to be biased by everything else that's going on around you.
Could there be a radically different version of freedom?
Yeah, and that's, the whole thing that the immersive arts opens up is huge worlds of choice and whole new ways of communicating, which will open up a new perception of freedom. People in very, very diverse countries all over the world will be able to learn from each other and communicate with each other in new ways, which will completely change their perceptions of freedom.
Okay, so we're on the brink of an explosion of freedom. Are we ready for it? Do we even know what it is? When we're talking about spreads in supermarket, could we get wider and deeper and more fundamental in our question of freedom?
That poses a question. Are there innate as concepts of freedom that's common? Like everyone in every country cries or smiles.
Yeah.
Everyone hurts or feels good. So with freedom, of course it's biased, because we are human beings and the bias is us as being us, which is natural. So to be biased is not necessarily negative or derogatory. It is something that we are biased by our own, what we are as individuals. Now, how we respect the next person to us, not to infringe on their freedoms, is important.
Okay, so there's a question about respect there that's come in. Do we need to respect them in the virtual world as well?
Yeah.
You say yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, so respect is just as important in the...
Of course,
You say everyone agrees on that one?
Yeah, we're still dealing with human beings, even if it's in this reality or in virtual reality, we're still human beings.
Okay.
So definitely respect is important.
I mean, does freedom automatically come with respect, or is it kind of add-on? Come and have a seat on the table of chat. We have got Caroline, we've got Vince, we've got Andrew, we've got Halodontal. We have got Josh, and with Annabelle and Mikey, and we're currently talking about, does freedom actually, are we ready for the freedom that that the virtual world, the augmented reality, all of these new realities, immersive arts are going to bring us? Are we actually ready for it? Will it blow our minds? Do we have the respect for it as well as what we've just been talking about? Come and have a seat. Come and get involved in this. And that's it. Oh, you're off, Halodontal. Give us a final thought before you go.
If you're what?
A final thought, just to help us push this along a little bit.
Trying to think of a good final thought about what about the virtual world and the real world?
Anything, could be anything. What you're thinking, basically.
Is the virtual world a good thing?
Yeah.
And should we spend a majority of our time in this, or should we actually think about the fundamentals of reality and what we're doing as human beings to one another?
Okay, are we sort of turning our face away from the real reality if we're just too focused on the virtual world? Hang on a second, let me come to John.
Virtual reality essentially is an extension of the actual reality. There's no reason for it to be something completely different or an alternate thing when it is technically real.
Is it a bit too virtual though?
But because it's real life essentially. You're putting on your Oculus Rift and you're not in a real world, but that real world is still made of energy.
It's still a world.
It's still a world, and you're still in your bedroom on your Oculus Rift. It's not a difference.
Okay. If you choose to use it in your bedroom, of course, other rooms are available.
What are you doing in your bedroom?
Okay, so
check out my.
I guess we're talking about virtual reality. Is it a real reality? Is it
I think the problem is when you get super immersed. Anyway, we're immersed in this life as it is. Virtual reality allows us to get immersed in that world, but there's an issue when we take it too seriously and we kind of habitate in that space and we kind of forget what we are, where we are, the fact that we're on a planet, who we are. Thank you, yes, as well. The fact that we're on a planet which in itself, this planet is alive. It's a spaceship going through space, literally. And the fact that we forget that and we just get immersed in virtual reality, just to forget ourselves in there, I think that's dangerous.
Have you ever forgotten who you are?
Of course.
Can you tell us a little bit about what it was?
It was related to psychedelics, mushrooms, LSD. Definitely, I forgot who I was, but I came back to myself. Okay. And I came back to myself even stronger than I was before losing myself, because I managed to find myself back. So that's really powerful.
So quite a valuable experience. Has anyone out there, have you forgotten who you were before? Ever forgotten who you were? That's what we're talking about.
I don't know who I am yet.
You haven't remembered who you are yet?
I haven't discovered that yet.
Okay. All right, I'm going to run the table on this one. Have you forgotten who you were?
Maybe.
Yeah. Was it a positive experience?
It was a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And do you agree with this conjecture that it's actually quite good to forget who you are because you discover more about yourself?
Well, they call it the transpersonal experience when you lose your ego and sense of yourself, and it's a very powerful experience. It's written about in a lot of places. It's a positive thing to go through that and come back out the other side. You learn a huge amount about the nature of reality. So definitely people who have done that are predisposed to want to explore these new worlds that electronics can give us.
Right, okay. Let me go around to this side of the table. Have you ever forgotten who you were on this side?
I haven't, but I feel like in that virtual world, you're still yourself. You may have forgotten who you are, but you're essentially still yourself. And that can be another part of you that you're then exploring.
Listening to these two, do you feel like more intrigued to forget who you are?
No.
No, you don't? Okay. Forgotten who you are?
No, and similar to Josh, I think also because I'm the first to admit I'm so in control of myself as well, and the thing is, as I'm so supportive of people losing themselves, if that's what we want to call it. However, I'm more than okay to appreciate that without.
Okay.
I don't feel like I need to or want to. Like, I'm okay with being around people that choose to. Like, it's my respect to everyone else that doesn't.
But you'd rather do it second hand.
Like,
rather than first hand.
and it's not that I'm a control freak or I want to be in control. It's just like I am a control person, I think, more than anything.
I mean, in the middle of the Talkaoke table, I'm quite often forgetting who people are. But I don't forget who I am. Come and have a seat on the table of chat. Have you ever forgotten who you are? Exactly.
Do you sometimes forget who you are?
You know what? I'm a bit like Annabelle. I don't think I ever have forgotten who I am. You know, I've taken a lot of drugs, but I've never forgotten who I am.
Then you didn't took the right dose.
Didn't take the right dose. Maybe not. Maybe I could have gone higher. I don't know.
But you don't have to take drugs or go into virtual reality to forget who you are. I mean, various different monks and babas and saints and different people throughout history have got to that place through meditation. So, and that maybe has people have a different perception when you do it that way than when you do it through psychedelics or when you do it through virtual reality. It's somehow more socially acceptable.
Okay, so it's more acceptable to do it through meditation than through drugs to forget who you are. Would you agree on this side?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
What's that?
Drugs are a shortcut because meditation, you have to actually kind of enter that vibrational zone in meditation, isn't it? Whether when you take drugs, it's a shortcut. It just happens.
Yeah.
So meditation, I think it's a very good one, but it takes practice. That's the difference.
I mean,
And I had a very good recent experience in VR where there was an app that was designed to do breath tracking, and it was to aid meditation.
Right.
So you could say that technology now is replacing drugs in that shortcut, that drug.
Right. So is
own drug.
Technology is its own drug now?
Well, it has become because it's an addiction. So I mean, like, bad luck, it is.
Yeah, but it's more like, to me, it's more like that kind of crystal meth sort of drug than the psychedelic drug. It's more like something you get very little out of, but you spend a lot of time chasing the. Anyway, go on. It's not about me. It's not about my point of view.
I don't think that technology will ever be the true psychedelic experience. Cyberdelics, whatever you want to call it, the cyberdelics will never beat psychedelics because not just because of that, but it could never be as powerful as a true mushroom. I mean, VR will never get even close, like not even close to a real mushroom experience.
And so we've got a new face to the table. We've got a couple of new faces. This is Talkaoke. So at the moment we're talking about, have you ever forgotten who you are?
Who am I?
That's what we're talking about at the moment. It's my job to remember who everybody is.
I think the mushroom, the psychedelic, speaking of the mushroom now, I think the magic mushroom is a technology way more powerful that we can comprehend at the present moment. And technology, as we know, it doesn't even come close.
On the table here.
Doesn't even come close to it. So
Anyway, we've got a couple of new faces. So what's your name?
Laura.
And Jerry.
We have got Caroline, we've got Andrew, we've got Josh and Annabelle, I'm Mikey. All the people with difficult names have left, thankfully. And at the moment we're sort of talking about, have you ever forgotten who you are? Is it actually quite a good thing to forget who you are? Then you discover yourself in a new way. And is it somehow more socially acceptable to do it through meditation or some kind of spiritual journey than taking drugs? And is it worthwhile? These are all the things we're talking about at the moment on the table. Any views? Have you ever forgotten who you are?
Well, with the LSD trip, obviously.
You have, yeah.
Yes. Well, it's not that you forget about who you are. It's more like the time expanding in the expansion of time, and then you completely forget about you because it's so many time passing on.
Okay.
In between you and there.
Okay, so your time is expanded. Okay. Jerry, have you ever forgotten who you are?
I think, yeah, but then the sort of Jekyll and Hyde thing where, mainly with alcohol, where you slip into a character that you thought, I don't want to be this character again.
And you
before you know it,
wake up, you're smashing
before you know
someone's
it,
head in a
you're
car
back there. So.
Okay, so alcohol can do it as well. Carlos, have you forgotten who you are? No? Would you like to? No. Okay. Come and have a seat on the table of chat. Yes, that's you. So, and where are we going to go with this conversation? Where do we want to take it? We want to talk about reality, our sense of self, because you said this is all about the ego and
transpersonal psychology.
Removing yourself from the ego and floating into a kind of collective universe or something like that. Come and have a seat. Come and get up. You don't have to say. You don't have to say anything. Come into the. You can put courses. This is designed for drinks.
I have something here. We call it neurodigital telepathy.
What is it?
Neurodigital telepathy.
What is that?
Well, it's a mediated connection through media, through VR and social media and computers.
A kind of digitally mediated.
Digital telepathy. Yeah.
Okay.
Neurodigital telepathy. It's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What's your name?
What are we talking about? Shamini.
Yes. We've got Caroline, we've got Andrea, we've got Laura, we've got Jerry, we've got Josh and Annabelle and Mikey. At the moment we're sort of talking about can we connect telepathically through digital media or any other media? Can we just become one? I think that's the question that you're posing.
We already are one. We just don't figure it yet.
We don't. What makes you say that, Andrea?
Because we think of ourselves as being individualistic. I'm my own person. She's her own person. She's her own person. Everybody's their own person. But we don't actually think of ourselves as being a collective, part of a collective consciousness, like a cosmic consciousness. But this is the drugs talking anyway.
Don't think about that in Western, modern, postmodern, Occidental society, but in other societies you do, yeah.
So in other societies they're already on the ball with this one. Can you give us an example?
Well, I'm half Indian and half Chinese, so very old cultures, and I grew up in many different countries. And whenever I go back to Southeast Asia, people seem to be a little bit more spiritually, like connected to the other person, or believing that you can actually connect or read people or feel things that you would normally go, oh, that's not logical. You know, in this kind of society.
So there's a sort of underlying assumption that we're all this same thing, that we're all part of the same being.
Yeah, I think it's more of somebody.
The universe is an animal, is alive, and in this sense of alive, we can communicate through that matter, which is universe, with technology, with the appropriation of electricity, develop tools that we cannot develop telepathy on our own because we are obviously limited in our own embodiment. But
okay, let's get final thought from these guys. Hang on.
Let's
get a final thought.
What final thought? I also agree in the sense that I come from such a Western culture where I agree with it being such a, we are so individualistic, and it's always about how far we can go, how high we can achieve. It's about us. But then there's this huge thing about we have to bind together. It's like, yeah, but we're human beings. We are together. So it's about that kind of acknowledgement, I think, more than anything. And more older cultures have that acknowledgement,
but,
and they have that energy.
What's going on with the Western culture? Why are we so
greed, like newness? Like it's a different. It's like.
I'm going to come to you in a second, Caroline, but let me just get a final thought from Josh. Hold the mic because you're high up now.
I reckon we're all connected, but because we don't feel like we're connected, and there's no way to prove it, or maybe there is a way to prove it in the future, but we'll never know till then.
Okay, so we are all connected. Everyone around us. We haven't asked you, Jerry, or you, Caroline, but. These three all believe we are connected. So, what do you think? What's that?
Well, it can be proven through science, right? So, science and spirituality don't necessarily need to be two separate things. So, if you want to see where the connection is, you just have to look at DNA and where we come from and how close our DNA is to other animals that are not human. So that's one way of like connecting, understanding connection.
So genetically, we're certainly connected. You're nodding, Carol. Do you believe we're all connected?
I do, and the reason why it's so lost in Western culture is because of patriarchal religions.
Right.
So if there is a religion that wants to control people, it's saying, okay, there's a separate being, this is God, God is separate to you, you are separate to God, if you're good, he'll put you in heaven, if you're bad, he'll put you in hell. But when you remove the notion of God being separate to us, which, I mean, I live in India, and that's a much less Hinduism is much less patriarchal, and Buddhism again. So when you remove that notion of a separate God, then we are all God. God is us. So, and that's something close to what I believe also.
Okay, we've got a new face at the table. What's your name?
Joanna. Hello, everybody.
We've got Jerry, we've got Laura, we've got Andrew, we've got Sharmini and Caroline and Mikey. We're sort of talking at the moment about we're all connected. It's only patriarchal religions of the West that separate us and tell us we're separate from God and separate from each other.
We're not separated.
No,
as female, we are all connected with the moon. I couldn't sleep yesterday because it was a full moon.
Yeah.
I bet. You see, how can you say we are separated by patriarchy?
Yeah.
In Portuguese, moon is a female name.
You see, last night I was sleeping soundly where all these women were awake trying to sleep.
You see,
but
there's like in between us.
Yeah.
There was nothing in the end.
Anyway.
He was asleep.
Anyway.
We were going to connect to something else.
Jerry, do you believe we're all connected?
I think we are all connected.
Yeah.
I think the answer isn't in modern technology though, because I think through things like social media, it actually destroys that connection because people are actually inventing false personas and they're not connecting in a natural way, in a spiritual way. They're connecting in a sort of very egotistical way, trying to outdo one another. I think that gets in the way of natural connections.
Okay, are you on Facebook?
I'm not.
Okay.
No, I do other social media, but people I know have a very different personality on Facebook, and I don't like it.
Okay, so we're actually getting further away from this connection. Technology's not helping us, it's hindering us. It's encouraging this egotism. Laura, you agree?
I think we are a mix in between telepathy and intuition and embodiment and imaginary dreams, and we are probably we can communicate through mountains and through walls much better than 5G network. Yes.
Okay. All right. So we can debate. Final thought, Shamini?
It's not the technology, like it's not the tool, it's how you use it. So you have to sort yourself out, not the technology.
But hang on a sec. Before you go, we are living. Well, this is like a technology.
I'm on Facebook. I use it to connect with people. I don't act like not me. I just don't tell everybody that I need to have a coffee at 5 o'clock in the morning. I just connect with people and keep in touch with them so that they can be on the other side of the world. And I always know what's going on. And we're still.
You can dream about them. It's like we have a sensory alerts neurological system that alerts us when someone that you love is in trouble.
Okay.
I'm a shamanic woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
Yes, Queen.
Okay. So where are we going with this? In a way, this is kind of.
Technology is good. Technology. Facebook has really dark side and like very negative points. But I think the most positive point is like. I travel a lot, and I travel in a creative way. I do creative projects in different countries, and this is the easiest way I find to see what the people are doing and to be in their lives and they be on mine. If I'm not real or not, all right, whatever. It's good. It's good when you get to see people in the eyes.
Yeah.
And that's the most important. I don't care about dreadlocks or ties or suits. The eyes is what's gonna tell me everything. I don't care about what people are doing on Facebook.
We talk about Facebook. Should it be more iBook, where we only see the eyes and you don't see the whole face? Because as you say, could we start up a rival iBook? Do you think would that work?
No. I mean, I love when I go in the street and I keep looking at people's eyes and energy.
Yeah.
And it's like, who are the ones who are awake?
Yeah.
and it's a very small percentage. And,
Really?
unfortunately, walking in the street is a small percentage, but in my world, I think it's a big percentage, and I'm happy for that.
We've got a new face here, or new eyes, I should say. So are you off, Jerry? Give us a final thought, but let me just get a final thought from you, but let's just get your name. What's your name?
Samuel.
Samuel, we've got Caroline, we've got Andrew, we've got Laura, and we've got Joanna, and Jerry's on his way, but he's going to throw in a final thought for us.
I am an optimist, and I think it will resolve itself.
Yes!
Yeah, okay.
All we need is positive thoughts.
Positive thoughts?
It's a frequency.
Yeah.
The positive frequency is what is important, because that frequency will emanate, can we say this in English?
Yes, you can,
it will go
Yeah.
and bring back good things for you.
Okay, final thought, Caroline?
I think, again, social media is positive and negative. I can't do without it because I live abroad and I have my family here, and I'd be quite lost without that line of communication.
I mean, do you think it's kind of alienating us in a certain way, or is it just connecting us?
That's down to kind of social conditioning. Like, as a grown-up, it's not alienating me, but it might well be alienating that 13-year-old that hasn't had the education and upbringing I have. So.
Okay, so where are we going to go with this conversation?
We need to get technology-proof intuition. And our sixth sense, it has to upgrade to go over this technology. This is what we're doing as shamans, and this is what we're doing as women. We are going over this. We are upgrading.
Okay, we've got a few new faces at the table. So this welcome to Talkaoke. We have got Joanna, we've got Laura, we've got Andrew. What's your name again?
Samuel.
Samuel, and what's your name? Paula and
Rachel.
Rachel, welcome on Mikey. So at the moment we're sort of talking about technology and spirituality in a way. We're all connected, we're all part of the same universal being. But is technology separating us, or is it allowing us to connect? And is it actually allowing us to develop our sixth sense, as Joanna says, our ability to spiritually connect? And that's what we're talking about right now. Any views on this side, on the news side, or you just want to pick up the pieces? Listen to the conversation.
What's that sixth sense? What's the sixth sense?
What is the sixth?
The sixth sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you give me a starting point?
Well, you mentioned the.
You need a drink. Okay, okay. I can give you the starting point.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Then you tell me what sixth sense is about.
Okay, well, you mentioned the sixth sense, Joanna. So.
What is the sixth sense? Is that things you can't explain?
Okay.
So it's like I'll try to explain, but it's like it's the metaphysics, you know. Like is the place where science gets in the last.
Okay.
You know, like sixth sense is the first, science comes after.
The place where science gets lost. Well, look what you've just scored, about 1 drop of Campo Viejo there. That sixth sense, what is a sixth sense to you, Rachel? Do you believe in a sixth sense?
Well, I've got no idea what you mean. Really?
Not really?
No? But I can talk about something.
Well, I mean, where do you think this idea of a sixth sense comes from?
I hear, but it's not very full.
Okay, yeah. Is your bottle 7/8 empty or 1/8 full?
No, I think it's trouble is this is wine. I like beer. I like quite strong German beer.
Okay, we need some beers over here. Let's put a call out. Guys, we need some beers for the Talkaoke table. This is quite desperate. We badly need beers. Can we please have some beers? Thank you. Okay, right, yeah.
She wants the sixth sense back.
Okay, there we go.
Is this being recorded?
Yes, it is, yes. If that's all right with you. There we go. Beers. Okay, right. So that works. Yeah. You want a beer? Okay. Okay.
What the sixth sense is, maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's part of the subconscious. It's the expanded conscious, subconscious, unconscious, dream, intuition, all the things that we presume to know, but we don't really cannot know as an exact science.
Okay, so it's an expanded consciousness. That's what the sixth sense is. Anyone else want to add to this definition of the sixth?
No, I don't agree with the sixth sense.
Yeah?
It doesn't exist. I think we
What about expanded consciousness? Can you open this beer for me?
Yeah, but it's true. It's through alcohol, and it's through drugs.
Yeah.
And I think that's great.
But it's not a sixth sense as far as you're concerned.
Well, no, it takes you somewhere else. Yeah, maybe we call it drunkenness or drunkenness.
Yeah, okay. Do you believe in a sixth sense? That's what we're talking about now. Come and have a seat on the table of chat. Samuel, have you got any view on this? Do you believe in a sixth sense?
Sort of more intuition, maybe. Maybe I believe more in intuition.
It's more about intuition than a sense as such.
Dreaming alive.
Difference.
I think it's biology. The difference is biology.
Okay.
I think sixth sense predicts you have some extra terrestrial almost ability. Whereas I think it's biology, maybe.
What, Paula, have you any view on this? Do we have a sixth sense?
I was just saying to my friend that in order to understand the origins of it, I would need Google.
You need Google?
Yeah.
We have access to Google here. You can use my phone if you want.
It could be like a feeling, you know, when you say that. You're talking about sixth sense. It's just like a feeling. It's just I've got a feeling that I might need
what about
food.
the other five senses? Are they not just kind of feelings? The other five? Or is it more definite?
Yes, but this is undefined feeling, isn't it? So it's like, you know, you've got a feeling and...
Okay. What do other people think? Sixth sense, Andra?
I think I identify sixth sense with the consciousness, with like a cosmic consciousness.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what you mean. I don't know, but that's my definition.
So you're talking more about a cosmic consciousness than a sense as such.
Like like a consciousness that anyway it's cosmic. Like it's. Yeah, I'm sober actually. Yeah, I am totally sober actually. And I think in order to expand our consciousness, we have to connect back to the roots, to the planetary roots, which is magic mushroom, ayahuasca, DMT, and all these substances that allows us to actually expand our consciousness beyond.
Yeah.
Well, I would love to. Do you have some mushrooms?
Well, it worked with the beers, didn't it? Can we have it?
I think alcohol it's the shittiest way to get there. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
But if you don't have mushrooms, what do you do?
And we can we can put a call out. Can we have some psychedelic substances at the Talkaoke table, please? We desperately need psychedelic substances here, and it's all about expanding consciousness. By the way. Oh, we've got some over here. We've got some volunteers. Okay, so. Should we try it with the foods? I don't know. It worked so well with the beers, but maybe we're pushing our luck now.
I can carry on. Ask me a question. I can carry on.
Where do we want to go with this? Any questions from Rachel?
I want to go with this.
Okay, where would you like to go? What would you like to
Listen, I just feel so comfortable with these people. It's just so nice sitting here with these people. I just feel I could just chill here now.
Yeah.
You know when you find connected minds, I feel we're all politically and emotionally on the same wave level.
Yeah.
You don't have to say anything. So kind of you're redundant. We can sit here.
Basically, we don't need to make a point.
Okay, so
we're talking about frequencies.
Yeah.
And she just said she feels okay with our frequency, that we are in the same frequency. So how can I say, language is something about is human, but we are.
Habla español.
I can speak Spanish.
Where are you from?
I'm from Portugal. I can speak 4 languages.
Okay.
But
what's the question? Is that just
no. I just felt the Spanish is coming from her.
I would not read anything into it. She's extremely drunk.
I think it's like that. It's like a mechanistic brain. So it's the way that we thought, and we expand our conscious through thought, which is an electronic discharge of frequencies.
Yeah.
And then these frequencies collide in the space with the other that is thinking with you, and then you have an impact in the sensory imaginary brain that is you.
Yeah.
And then you have the reactive sensual perception, which is intuition or the sixth sense or expanded conscious.
Yeah.
You know, it's all embedded in one
I mean, do you think the frequencies of our brain can actually...
The cosmic matter is the origin of our thing, yeah.
Can our brain frequencies actually synchronize?
Yeah.
Okay. You say yes, Samuel?
I don't know.
Do you feel in sync with the rest of the table?
No.
No.
Not necessarily. I don't know. I've just spent like 10 minutes under a stroboscope. I'm like somewhere in 94 in a German cellar. I don't know. It'll be different.
So you've been brought back to the year 1994. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Luciana thing over there.
Okay.
You're around people you feel comfortable with. You feel comfortable with.
Is that a kind of synchronization of frequencies?
Yes, it is a synchronization of frequencies.
Yeah.
I think when it comes from the expression that we're all on the same wavelength.
Okay.
I think we're all on the same wavelength.
Okay. So that we are literally on the same wavelength. Paula, do you subscribe to this idea? Do you feel on the same wavelength?
No, I feel very comfortable with these people, but
yeah, you don't think it's about frequencies and wavelengths?
It is a little imprecise.
Okay. What would be a more precise description?
Of what? ESP is
no, the
not
sense
a thing.
no, just a sense of feeling comfortable with the people around the table. Could you describe it in a way that doesn't mention frequencies or wavelengths?
I think we all appear to be sufficiently kind of like oddball that nobody is likely to be judging anybody else would be the origin of the feeling of comfort for me.
Okay, so it's about our sense of what is normal, what is not normal, or what is kind of a bit different. Yeah.
I think it's connected to the origin of life. It's the meaning of life. It's what it connects all us.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the origin of life, which is still unknown. We think that we know, but we don't know. So it's all connected with this unconscious mind that is expanding through frequencies and sensual experiencing.
Do you consider yourself to be an oddball?
And what?
An oddball.
An oddball.
Oddball, like somebody a bit different, a bit odd, a bit.
Not really.
No.
Okay.
Are you?
Where is everyone from in the world?
Okay.
I'd like to know because we're all connecting.
I'm going to start with you.
Well, I'm from Jersey.
From Jersey?
Yeah.
What? Tell us. Does everyone know Jersey? Do you know Jersey? Is it an island?
It's America.
Where is Jersey?
It's near France. It's where we hide all the money. It's England. It's yeah, exactly. Everyone knows.
A tax haven.
It's a
near
tax
France.
haven.
Okay.
That's where I'm from.
Where are you from?
Somerset.
Somerset. Okay.
Good cider.
Samuel,
Good
where are you
cider.
from?
Sweden.
Sweden. Can you be more precise?
South of Sweden.
I was about to say meatballs.
Where are you from?
I'm from planet Earth.
Planet Earth. Can you be more precise?
Yeah, it's like a sphere. You know, it's floating in space.
All right. Okay. Where are you from?
Barcelona.
What?
Barcelona.
And we've already heard from you, haven't
Not northern Portugal by the coast. See.
Okay.
Huh? But there is in the sea. I'm by the sea.
You're by the sea.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very nice. And I'm from Gravesend in Kent. Just come and have a seat. Where are you from? That's what we're asking at the moment. We were talking about from Dartford. Oh, you need to come. You need to come and celebrate your culture. Give us a final thought. Final thought.
I think language is a barrier. We already said we are connected. She can feel us.
Yeah.
She can feel us. And anytime we try to put this in words, it's very complicated. We are evolving. We are evolving to alien kind, and I don't know if they talk. Do they talk? They do some crop circles that have some frequencies. Like your clocks don't work on the. Your clocks don't work inside of the crop circles. Like clocks stop working. Like all technology stopped working there.
Okay, you didn't answer my question though, which is how do we overcome the barrier of language?
By feeling.
Feeling. Okay, final thought?
She wanted to say actually something, and I think it's pretty important, so maybe...
Okay, well let's just hang on a sec, we can hang on to that because we've got some new faces at the table. We've got Laura, we've got Andrew who's going for a cigarette, we've got Samuel, we've got Paula, we've got Rachel and Mikey. What's your name?
Melissa.
Melissa from Dartford?
Lee.
Are you also from Dartford?
Streatham.
Well, Streatham.
Yeah, well we can all, okay, so at the moment we're sort of talking about connective consciousness. Do we actually need to talk? Is language connecting us, or is it is there such a thing as us all being on the same wavelength, or is it just mumbo jumbo? That's what we're talking about right now. We've got another new face over here. What's your name?
Fraser, hello.
Welcome. Laura, you wanted to say something?
I wanted to say that language is a boundary, and boundaries are always contradiction, because they are positive and negatives at the same time. This is how we evolve. It's like power, positive and negative makes connection. It works.
Okay.
So boundaries are connection.
Yeah. Okay. So is language? Where does that put us, Rick, as the people speak? If language is a boundary, do we need to evolve? Do we need to be the people feel instead of the people speak? And just throw away all this talking stuff and move on to a more touchy-feely kind of thing?
People's vibrations, can't you?
Well, this is
when you walk in a room, you can feel the vibe. So
yeah. What are the vibes here?
Vibes here? Yeah, it's just mellow. Yeah, just easy.
It's good. So you believe in that? It's definitely a vibration.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. Okay. What are you saying?
I'm promoting the neurodigital telepathy through computer graphics that we're going to exhibit next week in London.
Okay. Well, maybe we've got, this. Maybe it's a time, because it seems like it's relevant to what we're talking about. Maybe you want to say a little bit more about that?
Well, I can read if you want, but I don't want to read.
What is it? What is it?
Well, it's a festival. It's connected. It's artificial intelligence, computer graphic, animation, virtual reality. It's all new media, art and technology. We're gonna have talks, workshops. We're gonna work on encryption and privacy and surveillance capitalism. We're gonna hack a little bit our systems.
Okay.
And we're gonna have fun with live coding.
What led
lots
you
of things.
to set up this festival?
Well, this festival, it was in the 90s in Barcelona with, they had people like Timothy Leary, Laurie Anderson, all the people from the 90s that they started working with art and technology, and then they evolved working with exhibitions, new media.
Kind of reimagination of what's happened.
Yeah. It's the same style of events, making things happen, connecting people, networking.
Okay, cool. We've got another new face at the table. So we've got.
Sorry, I didn't know this.
Anyway, what's your name?
Pascal.
Thank you. Have you got final thought, or is that your final thought?
Yes, I'll come back later.
Okay. So where are we going to go with this conversation? Got another new face over here. What's your name?
Nick.
Nick. Okay. I sort of feel like. I sort of feel we kind of killed it, so we need to start somewhere else. We've got a lot of new people. Where do we want to go with this conversation? What do we want to talk about? Do we want to talk about the same thing, about this sense of connection? Is it a vibe? Is it a spiritual thing we can't put our finger on? Is it much more easily explainable? Do we want to talk about something else?
We can talk about something else. Possibly. I don't know. There's an art thing on here, isn't there? So a bit about art. We've just come from a conference at Somerset House about the art market and about transparency. Maybe if you want to talk about that. Are you artists around here? Oh shit! What are you? Yeah.
Okay.
Hey?
A carpenter. I mean, is there a carpentry market?
Market?
Yeah.
Not that I know of, no.
Okay.
I've never been to one.
Okay. I don't know if that's going to go down.
Talk about anything.
Okay. Any other suggestions, Pascal?
Beards. Alright, let's talk about beards. You got a beard, you got a beard, you got a beard, you got a beard, you don't have a beard.
Yeah. What's going on with the beard thing? Can you tell us the rationale? Come and have a seat on the table to chat. So we're kind of.
This is my boss, everyone. This is Stella, my boss.
Okay. So this is Talkaoke Pop-Up Talk Show. We were talking about connective consciousness and connecting people and a spiritual connective, but now we're talking about beards. That's the way it goes.
Talking about gay beards or beards?
What do you mean? Is there a difference?
We're not discriminating here.
A beard, as in a woman who pretends to be with a gay man.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
So he has a woman with him that he'll pretend is his partner in order to fit into society. That's a beard. Yeah. She is his beard to masculate him.
Okay. Have you ever done that?
No.
Has anyone around the table ever been the partner of someone that then in order for them to fit into society, whatever their sexuality? Or is that a thing of the past? Is that?
No, it's not a thing of the past at all.
Even I'm not that old.
Okay, so it doesn't happen. It's historical. I mean, have we moved on? Have we kind of?
I've done it the other way round. So married someone to pretend to be something so they could stay where they were.
Okay,
but we'll probably leave that where it is.
Okay. Well,
Can you go back to her? I'm interested in that one.
I want to hear a bit more about that.
So
talk about the chicken game.
The chicken game. Yes, let's talk about the chicken game.
Is that how you got to marry that person?
No, just someone, obviously the way the visa system works here, someone who'd lived here for a while, had to go back to Australia, was originally looking for a guy to get married to, and hi, it's fine, we're not...
No one's ever going to find it.
Immigration office.
Anyway, we'll blow you out. Okay, so we're talking about, and the way this fits in with the whole beginning of the conversation, come and join back in again. We're talking about, we started off talking about boundaries, and you know, do we need boundaries? Do we need borders? Do we need these? Do we need to actually have these?
Ask her a question.
Well, I'm asking everyone a question. I'm not going to target.
Do you want to talk about something?
Okay, I'll be directed to.
What burning issue?
Have you got any burning issues?
I'm so chilled. I've just had 3 glasses of wine.
So everyone around this table.
Around the corner. It's really nice.
Okay. Everyone around the table seems to be chilled and in a good vibe. Have we got it kind of right here? Have we got the vibe right?
I think so, yes. I mean, yeah. Well,
Well,
I'm talking now, so I mean, what you've just said about we don't have to talk, I mean, I find that's, you know...
No obligation, I would just say there's no obligation to talk. You can talk if you want to. If you want to just remain quiet, that's fine as well. If you want to share your thoughts, that's fine. If you want to keep them to yourself, that's also fine.
Why is everyone wearing the smiley face badge? Is that in like a nod to the Watchmen series about interdimensional crime?
Like a teardrop, which doesn't have that. It's not Watchmen.
Okay. I think, has anyone got a smiley face?
You do.
I have got one, but I mean, I'm the only
face badges and stickers.
Excuse me, sir. Tell us what this smiley face is. I'm not allowed to really...
What's that? Which smiley face?
You've got to be wearing a smiley face.
Yeah, so if you go and see Sean and tickle his light projector, you get a smiley, yeah.
Okay. Why?
Because smiley is kind of one of the countercultures, so we work with Shoom from 1988. And yeah, we do the visuals, well, Sean does the visuals, and the smiley's kind of inspired a lot of our work and is involved in a lot of what we do. Smiles.
Okay, so it's part of the counterculture, the smiley.
Yeah, it's definitely the no boundaries, go and put a rave on.
Yeah.
And so I suppose this is 21st century raving for like without, well, like maybe drugs, but you don't have to always take drugs. So.
Okay, all right, so it's part of the counterculture. Does that explain anything?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone? Yeah.
I was like, it's got to do with it's in theme with the new Watchmen series, which is about interdimensional.
Okay. I mean, is this still part of the counterculture, or has it become?
I really wish that you actually had a spinny round chair, like a little electric one, where you could like sit there and spin round, without really having.
That maybe for the next one.
Time spin really fast. How fast can you go?
About that fast? Okay, so what I'm going to take.
Knobs do. Are they real?
Yeah, like if I say I turn this one up, it goes really loud, like that. But anyway, we're talking about where do we want to go with this conversation. It's up to you. My job is simply to. My name's Mikey. We've got Scylla. We've got Fraser. We've got Melissa. We have got. What's it?
Lee
and Nick and Sharmini and Rachel and Samuel and Pascal. But
I agree with her. I think counterculture has died.
Counterculture's died.
Yeah, it's become like something fluffy and something quite polished. Like Extinction Rebellion, it's the brand.
Yeah.
You attach it to something. In the 90s, counterculture wasn't a brand. It was like you died for it almost. Like it was stronger. Now and before that, it was even stronger. I think counterculture is dead.
Okay, is counterculture dead? That's a very strong contention from...
I think he's saying it's just a bit more polished than it used to be. So rather than stealing policemen's hats and running down the road with it, we're now sort of going, no, we won't do anything violent.
Okay.
Raves in Hackney Woods, like there's still all that kind of thing going on. Like people have moved out. Yeah, you go to Hackney Wick every Sunday. There's illegal raves in the woods. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been to them.
I remember when there used to be ones in Gravesend in the 90s, but anyway.
Can I ask the child's question? What is counterculture?
Okay.
No, seriously, what's counterculture? Is it anti-pop culture? I mean, what is it exactly? What is the definition? I don't know what counterculture is. Everybody talks about it in their own different ways. So what is counterculture?
Anyone help Sharmini on this one? What is counterculture?
It's anything that's not mainstream. And there you go.
So, okay, is that you're not happy with that? Any other definitions of counterculture?
I think the problem is probably you don't want to say what it probably could be because then you'll be wrong, and people hate to be wrong. And maybe that's the culture. Counterculture is it's okay. You're maybe wrong, but you're sticking with it, and you're trying to. It's the synthesis of society. So you have the experimenting with what it could be.
Okay, so it's a kind of there's an experimental nature. Maybe it's not as easy to define as people would make out, but it could be this.
It's not easy. If a child asks you what's counterculture, why do we have to be so complicated about it?
You're grounded.
Why can't people just answer in a really simple way?
Okay, Sheila, what
No idea. I have no idea, but I like her. I like her question.
You like it? I mean, Sheila, what's counterculture?
I've no fucking idea, so I like that she's asking the questions.
I've never heard of counterculture.
Okay. Yeah.
Opposite to mainstream culture, which is what? You know.
White people to describe something that generally doesn't actually originally belong to them, that they take.
Okay, so it's something
that's
that white
counterculture.
people use to
describe something that they take at a later date.
I'm tapping you now. Yeah, it's to make really boring people sound a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's the queer label at the moment.
Yeah.
It's straight people who want to sound a bit more interesting. Use this label of queer. We could go there.
Go say that again.
Well, they're not interesting. They're sort of past counterculture. They're just like.
Rachel, I've just turned you up. Say it again.
Yeah. What was the question?
No, what did you just say?
About counterculture.
Yeah.
Well, it's to make really boring people sound more interesting.
Okay. It's counterculture just simply allowing really boring people to sound more interested. No.
This guy's got the answer.
No, I don't. I didn't have the answer. Did you say the word suicide? Oh, I thought she said suicide. Suicide is an interesting example of a possible counterculture, though, isn't it? Because it's counter, like, the most intrinsic survival mechanism, which is like the most deep, sort of dimension to what culture could be, and you're killing yourself.
In a way, suicide itself is an extreme version of counterculture.
Not that happy, no?
You could also do like nudists might be a counterculture.
Nudism.
More positive than killing yourself.
Okay. Alright, so it's more positive than killing yourself, taking your clothes off. Do you have to do something?
Is that counterculture though? Not in Scandinavian culture. That is not counterculture. It's standard. So when you say something is against, a counterculture is not the norm, you're talking about you're actually talking about microculture, because different people cultures are different, right? What's standard to one person or generic to one person is not the same to another.
Do you agree with Melissa's point that it's kind of like about appropriating other cultures, she said non-white cultures, and making them your own and calling it counterculture?
It's just about diversifying from the normal. It's like anything is open to appropriate by boring white middle class people. It's like gay culture has been completely appropriated by people who want to call themselves queer.
Yeah.
Or straight.
Okay, let me get some final thought.
Is Brexit counterculture? There you go. On that.
Okay, final thought.
Wibble.
Okay. Final thought?
Powder my nose, so I mean not in that way. I mean I've got to actually go to the bathroom, so I've got to.
Counterculture is about staying. I am the only person.
Yeah. Oh, no, just killed the whole thing.
He is.
It just killed it.
No, because you go onto a subject that's really interesting and really difficult, and it fucking loses everyone.
Too much of a challenge. Samuel, I feel like we can take a. I think we'll take a natural break and come back in a minute, and I'll finish off all the beers. Final thought, Samuel?
I'm still 94.
What's that?
I'm still 94.
Still sucking up. I mean, were we more counterculture in 94 than we are now?
Yeah.
I think so. We've actually become less cutting edge or less.
I think with the growth of digital and the access and distribution of mainstream, we become more mainstream. Yeah.
Final thought, Rachel?
As soon as you get onto subjects that are difficult nowadays, people disappear. We live in an Orwellian society where people cannot cope with anything that doesn't follow the mainstream. So all these people who appear to be counterculture are just so...
Do you think counterculture's dying as well?
Oh, real counterculture, of course, is dying. But pretend counterculture is like thriving.
Okay.
Everyone in the art world wants to appear different and exciting, so they use that label. Culture.
We've got a new face at the table. What's your name?
Good evening, I'm Oscar.
Oscar, we're just about to close down this session actually.
Really? Okay.
We're talking about counterculture.
How long have we been on?
Oh, for a long time. Any views on counterculture? Is it dead? Is it dying?
What culture?
Counterculture.
Counterculture?
Yeah.
I don't know what counterculture is.
Oh, don't start. We never.
So this is a counter.
And we culture around the counter like this, really, effectively. But anyway, we're going to just take a little break. So thanks to Rick on camera. Have you enjoyed it so far, Rick? You can't hear. Okay. We can put your headphones on if you really wanted to. Samuel, thank you. We'll be back shortly, maybe with a new host. We're actually just. Do you know what counterculture is?
Well, you should tell me. You look like...
Oh, no, but my job in the middle is just simply to ask the question.
What was the question again?
We're talking about counterculture. Some people are saying it's dead. Some people are saying it's still going strong. Oscar's saying, what is counterculture?
I think you should just encounter culture for yourself and keep it always active. Be the culture. Telling this to any individual, not you personally, I don't know you, but you know.
Yeah. That's a good final thought. We're just breaking this down. Thanks for coming. What's your name?
My name is Luke Burnsride. Luke Burnsride.
Okay, so thank you, Luke. We're going to be starting up again. We might have someone else in the middle. No. We might not, but we're going to be starting very shortly. Thanks to everyone that's taken part so far. This is Talkaoke. This is No Boundaries. This is Modern Panic. Thanks everyone for taking part.
Thank you.
And thanks to Rick. This is Talkaoke Pop-Up Talk Show. Everyone's free to come and go as they want, even this man. We were talking about cyborgs, because you tell us once again. Tell us about this thing that's happening at 9:30.
I'm performing a poetic piece that I've written about, a philosophical poetic piece about cyborg cadavers.
Right.
So it's about the fallen and are we the fallen, basically. I don't want to elaborate too much on it because then I'll demystify it.
No spoilers. Okay, so we've got some new faces around the table, so maybe we should just do names again and I pretend that everyone... What's your name?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth?
Yeah.
And Mikey, and we've got Ortos, and we've got Rachel and Paula. Is that right? Yeah. And Mikey, and when we were talking about cyborgs, Rachel was just saying that we're all really just simulated, we're all robots. And Rick was slightly worried that he's a robot. Halodonto over here was saying that we are kind of augmented anyway. Like, for example, I'm wearing glasses and contact lenses and talking through a microphone. And Otos over here is augmenting her visual memory using a cyborg memory pad, aka a sketchbook. So are we already cyborgs? Are we robots? Are we simulated people? What do you think? Elizabeth, have you got anything on this?
Are we cyborgs? I think that can we define what a cyborg is, please?
Okay, all right, okay. Cyborg, what's a cyborg?
Well, a cyborg can be defined as someone that's half being, half human or half machine. Okay. But then, that could be within the flesh, but also an extension of your flesh.
Does it have to be that ratio? Could it be
cybernetic organism?
Could it be
half machine, half human?
Could it be 75-25?
Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be half exactly.
No, it doesn't have to be half, but I mean it's I've got a hearing aid, so that's the cyborg, and that's like a transhuman implant.
What
so
percentage would you give that? What percentage?
Well, what's that hearing? So what, 10, 5%?
10 or 5% there with the hearing aid. Yeah, okay, glasses. I'm going to go for about 10% as well. Does that make more sense now, Elizabeth?
So a cyborg is no. Sorry.
No? Okay. Okay, so can anyone help out from this side? Cyborg. What's your understanding of a cyborg?
So you can read that.
You've got a manifesto?
I've got a manifesto, yeah. But this is part of a manifesto.
Okay. And this side, Paula, anything cyborg?
It is, as you said, a mix of technology and biology.
Do you consider yourself a cyborg?
Well, you'd have to find out the different definition in order to be able to say that. You'd have to be more precise in the definition, which...
Well, I mean, I think Halodonto over here was talking about glasses being a cyborg. We've got a couple of glasses wearing.
That's what I'm saying, because I heard him that you would need a more precise definition of cyborg in order to determine whether wearing glasses fits that profile.
Okay.
To help you see. So that's a cyborg. That's, to me, cyborg, Like me having a hearing aid because I've lost my hearing is to bring back my hearing because obviously I can't hear. So that could be a definition of a cyborg. Then you have the other idea, which is kind of fully augmented, which could be a brain cell inside a machine if it's able to be sentient as a cyborg.
Okay, so
the
future of the
idea, it's just half and half, like the Terminator, the movie.
So the future of this could be like brain augmentation.
Or not,
Okay.
That's a different question because I have compromised. Fuck me, what?
Compromised?
Some neurological shit, and I use things on a phone in order to get along.
Compromised memory can be augmented with a phone memory. Elizabeth, what are you saying?
I was trying to get to the bottom of what a cyborg is. Really. And then kind of was thinking about how different learning styles could be different branches of cyborgs, how we're all wired differently.
Okay.
So if we are a cyborg, and these are kind of exterior elements like the hearing aid and the glasses, but if we're talking about the mind being a cyborg, we're all wired differently, right?
Okay, so the cyborg. Okay, we've got another new face on the table. What's your name?
Andra.
Okay, let me try. Can I try and knit this all together into one person, into one conversation? That's what I'm trying to do with this cyborg table. So we've got Andra, we've got Halodonto, we've got Elizabeth, we've got Otos, we've got Rachel and Paula. We're talking about really different minds, different kinds of ways of thinking. Can the cyborg approach actually help us to kind of, in a way, connect if we've got different ways of thinking? I think is what Elizabeth's question is. So, I mean, do we agree with Elizabeth? Do we all think differently? Do we actually have different?
Well, I'm saying I think naturally we think differently, but I think we're aided by certain directions, by imagery and text and patterns of thought to guide us in our ways of thinking. So is that a machine to then kind of generate one cyborg for us to be a product of?
Okay. We've got a new face to the table. What's your name?
Hello, Manu.
Manu, we've got Halodonto, we've got Andrea, we've got Paula, Rachel, and Otos, and Mikey, and we've got Elizabeth here. Sorry to miss you out there. We're talking about cyborgs. can the sort of cyborg approach to mental life actually connect us together and actually help our divergent ways of thinking, ways of viewing the world? That's what Elizabeth is saying. Andrew, have you got any views on this?
About being cyborg, that was the thing?
I mean, the cyborg future, will it help us connect mentally?
No.
No, you don't think so?
No, I think it's us who would help us connect mentally, I think, if that makes sense. We don't... cyborg is just... I think in a sense, in a way that it's being used right now, the concepts and the tools that are being used right now, I think they are alienating us more than connecting us. But this is, again, in our hands to do.
Okay.
So
it could be potentially a technology that connects us, but at the moment, this cyborg technology is actually alienating us. Do you agree with this, Manu?
No, I think actually, I mean, we already use the phone as an extension of ourselves, so why not, you know, have technology in us to maybe connect us more, not sure, but maybe to be a healthier human being. I don't know. I think it's an interesting dialogue.
I mean,
it's not just essentially just having technology, this kind of tech, you know, because cyborg could be biotechnology.
Yeah.
You know, you can try to augment the human genome, you know, to stop illnesses, to prolong life, if you can do that. So it's not just necessarily a technological, it's more of a biological.
Is it going in the right direction?
Well, it's like anything, you know, it's like plastic surgery. Was that going in the right direction? And look at some of the state of the people, the way they look, you know. But it's like, but I think it's like anything, it has to go through a process, you know. And what does it mean? What does it mean to be human? You know, because even though we have these multiple questions, we're in constant inquiry, and we're still not going to get to the bottom of it. And life's a continuous line, so it's always evolving. So you know, from now, what does a cyborg body look like? You know, if you take all the genomes that we have in the world and you start to create different kind of life forms, the human, as I'm going to say in this piece, will cease to exist. The idea we have of human, no matter's required, is not required.
So it's something we didn't need to think about in the past, but we need to think about now. What does it mean to be human, and do we want to preserve that, or do we want to just flush it down the loo? We've got a new face over here. Rick, have you got a view on this?
No, I was going to just add that, like, for instance, my sister lost her hearing, so she has now got a cochlear implant in her head. So now she can, like, she has basically a computer in her head to help her hear. So that's not already. Yeah, it's quite cyborg. I was thinking, yeah, it's sort of cyborg already. So like, will we just enhance those kind of abilities where even if you can hear, you have extra hearing just exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so it's happening. Is it going in the right direction? It's kind of Halidontal's saying a bit in the right direction, a bit whatever, experimental. So some of it in the end will work out well. How do we feel about it though? And do we think we need to know or hang on to what is human, or is that just not relevant anymore?
It's a vague thing to say, because, you know, for us to think, because you're born into the world, and when you're born into the world, you become into the world of the status quo, and you know nothing else about it, so you just accept it for what it is. So it's placebo. You know, so if we have to keep evolving, you know, it's like, again, as I say, it's constant inquiry. So what is right and what is wrong, you know? So what is the morality, what's the ethics, you know? Where does it, it's never going to end, it's just going to constantly evolve. So, you know, I don't think it's right or wrong, I think it's life. You know, life is continuous, so...
So it's a continual flow. Come and take a seat on the table. We're talking cyborg at the moment. Do you consider yourself to be a cyborg with those glasses on?
Cyborg's my phone, frankly, but anyway, so yes.
The phone is a more, I mean...
yes, these are cybernetic, no, these are not cybernetic, these are extension of myself in a way, but yes. The phone is more cybernetic, yeah.
Okay, I mean, and is it going in the right direction? Is it alienating us, or is it actually connecting us? Or is it just a flow? Halidontal over here is saying that it's just a flow, and things will just evolve as they evolve, and we shouldn't worry about necessarily...
Well, you have to, not necessarily don't worry about it. I mean, there's always going to be, as I said, constant inquiry. What is allowed, what's legitimate, and fundamentally, is this the body that we need? You know.
Hopefully it's the body that somebody needs. We'll find out.
There's no cyborg Tinder.
Well, is Tinder a kind of is Tinder a kind of cyborg technology in a way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. But with what you were saying, how technology is connecting us and separating us, I think it's kind of it has a symbiotic relationship, because I think the more that we are connected with one another in a digital sense, and the speed is going faster and faster, I think the less and less we're engaging with one another like this. You know, it's not often that you sit around a table with random people chatting like this, is it? Okay, maybe at the pub occasionally you'll engage with other people, but like there's not many opportunities. And I think with kids, yeah, but it's happening. Conversations like this happen online. They don't really happen in real time, do they?
Okay. Let's bring this talking about connecting people. What's your name?
Nick.
Oh, well, I knew that, but it's just what we do. So we've got Paula, we've got Rachel, we have got Elizabeth, Manu, and Halodonto, and Andra, and I'm Mikey.
Hello.
Yes. You noticed. Anyway, so at the moment we're sort of talking about there's this question about technology connecting us, and about this sense of like these things happen in online, but they don't happen in apart from with Talkaoke. You can hire it here. There we go. Anyway. I mean, can we design this? I think that seems to be the theme tonight, is about the technologies of connection, and can we get those right? Can we actually enhance our cyborgness when it comes to connection?
Well, do you know, I think that's interesting, that's been highlighted about connection, that everybody technologically, they're unconnected. And fundamentally, human beings are communal animals, and they seek solace with each other. So this is what we should probably be more focused on. And this is an interesting concept of Talkaoke, because it's getting random people, as you've said, to communicate with one another. Nobody does this, they'll do it online, but you're not essentially the person that you are you? And this is an interesting concept. It's more sociological.
I suppose it's the reason that I do it, and I am trying my very hardest to connect people, honestly. With varying degrees of success, more for come and connect with us. Come and connect with us. Come and connect with us. We have got Paula, we have got Rachel, we've got Nick, we've got Elizabeth, we've got Manu, we've got Halodonto, and Andrew. What's your name?
Reese.
And my name's Mikey. We're talking about technologies of connection. Okay, we've got Talkaoke, but we don't like to talk about Talkaoke on Talkaoke because it gets a little bit disappearing up into its own hole. But let's spread this out more widely. The technologies of connection, and how do we actually, it's something that we want, but we have it in a very pithy way with simulated
way.
Yeah. I mean, could we do better? Could we do better when it comes to technologies of connection? Could we do better? Could we do better when it comes to technologies of connection?
Connection.
What?
Better than what we've got now.
We could do it. It's getting better.
Yeah. What would you like to see happening, Paula?
To communications of technology, I would like to see them open sourced and placed in community control.
Okay, the community must control the connections. Nick, have you got any views? Or can we improve our...
That's really interesting to talk about open bloody source. Let's talk about open source. Great, everything's open source. Who reads the fucking source code? Oh great, I'm using something that's open source. Do you know what I mean? You never read the fucking code. It's like eyes wide open. Someone's like shitting in your eyes. Sorry.
Half of the
I'm not sure if people are picking up...
I'm a programmer. Using this is open source. It must be good. The programmer's writing, what, we're really going to fuck you up here. But you're not going to read it because you can't read fucking code. I mean, open source is the biggest con of the century.
Okay.
Sorry.
This side, open source isn't the biggest con. Do we all know what open source is?
No one knows what
open source is.
Tell me what open source is.
Well, tell us what is open
It's like there are programs. Like Instagram is a program. Twitter is a program. It means you can read the code.
The code that makes the program.
Yeah. Who's going to spend the fucking time reading the code? No one. But they sell it to you. It's open source. You can read it. Oh great, I can read it.
Okay.
I'm not going to read. Oh, I'm going going to read the Twitter source code.
In order for
Do you know what I mean? It's so fucking stupid.
Isn't it? Isn't it actually about licensing and how things are shared?
Okay. So open source is about licensing.
I'm just saying it's about how things are shared, but also what sort of community supports it. I mean, Linux is open source, but you've got to be in the right bit. You've got to be in the right bit.
Just explain.
Oh, my mum uses Linux. It's open fucking source. Yeah, mum. You read the open fucking source. Of course I'm in fucking
Okay. Let me get to this side of the table because you're getting very passionate about this on this side, but on this side we've just got blank faces. So what about this side of the table? Open source. Are you familiar with it?
I only know something called Arduino, which is an open source platform, but I don't know how to code it. I don't know how to write it.
So you don't know how to code. I mean, I think people are not really sharing the passion, Rachel, because they don't even know what.
They don't understand.
Okay, what's it? Yeah, this
open source. It's somewhat akin to downloading a car or stealing a movie, except it's somehow legal.
Yeah, it's something to do with stealing a movie. Would you?
Downloading cars. Akin to downloading cars. Open source software.
All right. Okay. What's your name, first of all?
Raf.
Raf, do you know anything about open source?
Yeah, quite a bit. I'm a programmer actually.
Do you share Rachel's frustration with?
Yeah, open source is the best way of collaborating and creating really awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I think open source is the way of the
future.
future.
Do you think the world at large needs to understand more about what open source is? Because let me just, I'm in the middle here. Let me just ask a question and then we'll move on to the thing. Because people don't know what you're talking about, Rachel. That's he knows what you're talking about. Anyway, go on. Anyway, go on, say your thing.
What was the question?
Do you think people need to understand more about what open source is and what their idea is more widely, or is it just a programming thing?
Yeah, I think people should understand more about open source. The thing is that
what element of it is important for you?
I think the collaboration and ability to create something out of something else and improving on somebody else's software, and not only software but also words, could be anything.
Form of collaboration. It's a form of collaboration. It's a way to collaborate and share ideas.
Accountability is an important aspect of open source. Basically, you can see what the thing is made of.
Yeah.
It's been scrutinized publicly.
Right.
And if there was something in it that you wouldn't want, somebody would have blown the whistle on it. If it's a closed box, you don't know what's in it.
So it's a way that everyone can see what the program is. They can scrutinise it.
To understand that, not every single person needs to scrutinise it. It's like, not every person has scrutinised the National Health Charter, but we all vaguely know what it is, and we know that somebody's scrutinising it, and it's all good. Whereas if it's closed, no one is scrutinising it.
So you're saying that open source is quite a good idea?
It would be the same thing as if the government decided to put the entire law structure of the UK into a closed box and not allow anyone to know what was there, right?
So,
on this same issue with blockchain being, or cryptocurrency being deregulated. Is that, no, right.
It's a legal structure, so basically the fundamental core of open source is that it's a legal. When you used to get a piece of software and install it on your laptop, and there's this great long agreement and you have to go yes before it'll let you carry on. Open source is one of those, but instead of saying you can't share it, you can't do this, you can't do that, it says you can only use this if you allow everyone else to use it, and anything which you add to it or if you make it better, you have to make that public as well.
So it's kind of putting the program into the public domain, and once it's there, it stays there.
Exactly, it's public domain, so you can scrutinise the code, so for example, that it's not full of listening devices or whatever, you know that it's not full of bugs, it's not letting Trojans onto your machine, it's you can see the code.
Okay, does that make more sense to people on this side of the table?
Yes.
Okay, so now everyone knows what open source is. What is the actual problem with it that you were going, because we needed to catch up a little bit. What was the problem with open source? It sounds good.
Well, no. I mean, what you're saying is open source. It means it's open for you to see, isn't it?
So what's the problem with open source?
Well, everyone thinks it's great because anyone can look at it, but no one looks at it.
Okay, so the problem is not enough people know about it and understand it.
It's just the whole whole thing, you know, Linux, open source. How often do you read the code for your operating system? Like never.
I mean, let's ask these sort of like non-programming people on this side. Do you think you need to have more understanding of what code is and be able to read it and understand it?
Yes, because I think, you know, the idea of jobs is going to change, you know, so with automation coming into the fold, what new skills do people need? You know, so we certainly do need to understand code and how these things work. Yeah.
Sorry? Reese, and I think it's quite good closed source code. Mine is quite poor, the quality of my code. So my code is quite poor quality, so it's quite good that people can't actually read how crap it is. If it was open source, if my code was open source, well, hey, it'd just be like, it'd be embarrassing.
It's a bit like, you know, DIY, if you paint over it, then nobody sees it. And so, is it a bit, can it be a bit embarrassing to have your code out in public?
I think everything should be open source, such as Facebook, Instagram, all these platforms that we use to connect ourselves. They should be open source so we can adapt them on our own needs and expectations, really. So I think open source is really a good thing, and it should be made widely available on every platform.
Okay, but is there any point that people don't understand what it is or how it works?
But the good thing about open source is that they can learn really easily. I didn't know, at some point one day I didn't know what open source was, and the other day I suddenly knew, because there's information, there's a lot of information.
So people
around
can
it.
learn,
Yes.
can learn and find those things out. I'll come to you in a second, but
Okay.
Nick, how does that not rages?
Thank you. Quick sort of issue I have with a lot of proprietary software, being in the graphics area especially.
So that's the opposite of open source.
The trouble with proprietary things is that software dies. Software dies after a certain amount of time. Things fall out of use, except you've got lots of files you might want to access many years later, but the software you're running them on is gone. So, I mean, you've got some choices. You can illegally sort of rerun it, you can emulate it, etc. It's a huge pain. It's much easier if some of those programs are open source in some respects, and that they're able to be re-explored, re-examined.
So open source
Standards is what that's called. So instead of having 100 different file types, you just have one which all software should use.
Right.
That's called open standards.
Okay, was that the point you were going to make? Or were you going to make
Well, I was just like point of information, sir.
Well, you wanted to make a point before then.
Oh yeah, I did, but I can't remember what it was now.
I'll bet you in a second.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this software dying, and we still use today software that was written as an open source 20, 30 years ago, and the reason why we can use it is because it's open source, because people can take it and improve on it, even that the time passes and technology changes and so on. I would like to ask a question though. Can we open source a piece of information here? Can you guys tell me, where did you get the beer from?
Sorry?
Where did you get the beer from?
Oh, what I did is I went, can we have some beers, please? And then some beers appeared. So, yeah. That's
open source.
This is open source, it's open. It's certainly open source here. Come and have a seat on the table of chat. This is Talkaoke, open source talk show is now.
Argument past the trouble.
Right, do you want me to talk about open fucking source?
Yeah.
We've lost the thought bit.
Manu, give us a final thought before you go.
Talkaoke, open source, cyborgs, you guys rule.
Okay, very much. That's a very positive one.
Well, it's a small group of us now, isn't it? But having worked for years as a programmer, you know, there's reasons for open source and there's reasons not for open source. It's like, you know, you spend years developing something, you don't want it open fucking source, so anyone can do it, because not every other profession shares everything else.
Yeah.
Okay? No, not everything. But it's interesting. It's like some of my programs for my artwork are being acquired by museums now.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be able to do that if it was open source.
Well, no, it will become open source because it's being acquired by museums, so it'll be available for the public, which I think is quite good.
It should be a socialist mixed economy, so the infrastructure should be open source, but you can still have privatized, you know, things if you want to, you know, basically.
Okay.
I think these are all very good points.
Okay. I feel like we might have killed it a little bit with this. It's a bit too esoteric. But, you know, it's up to you. This is your talk show. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. But I feel like now might be a good time to get a break. But let's get some final thoughts. Okay, hang on. Final thoughts. Let's get a final thought from each and every one of you. That's all three of you. Final thought.
Open source is jolly good.
Will it go into other areas?
In what other areas?
Talk show, not open source. Well, actually, maybe it's a little bit, but anyway.
Perhaps crowdsource, perhaps. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So can we expect the idea of open source areas?
Yes, Creative Commons, Petal, is what that's called. So you should have open source, open standards and Creative Commons in order to have a fully open information society.
And how do you make...
And unfortunately, as soon as I start talking, look what happens, right?
Rachel's worried,
Because I'm autistic.
I'll tell you what, the problem is people don't know what they're fucking talking about nowadays. Paula is an expert in the area. I've worked for 30 years in the area. I know what I'm talking about. As soon as you talk about something, people disappear. People don't want details nowadays, they want sound bites. And that will be the failure of Talkaoke. People don't want to talk.
Oh, tough.
It's such a fucking good idea. You should be fucking everywhere. But I think the problem is people don't want to talk, and people don't know what they're talking about. I mean, you have Paula, who is a fucking expert in her area. You have me, who is pretty much an expert in my area. Everyone's fucking gone because they don't want to deal with the details. They don't understand the details.
It's a tough context here. Tough context. In a different context.
It's not a tough context. It affects everyday life. Source code affects everyday life.
Yeah.
People just don't want to know. And especially when it's coming from a fucking woman, it makes it 10 times more.
Final thought?
Final thought.
Let's get
neurotypicals, eh? What can you do?
Yeah.
Neurotypical.
We were talking a bit earlier on about the neurotypical, neurodivergent. Well, that didn't seem to really...
Because the neurodivergent said dead.
Neurotypicals were dominating the conversation.
Maybe not. Final thought?
Good luck and Godspeed.
Thank you. Okay, we might be here later on. We'll see if we manage to get any. But I think we're going to have a little break now. Let's say thanks to Rick and Rick Cyborg's sister. And we will be back later on, possibly, subject to negotiations and beers. But thanks everyone for listening. 9:30, we've got the big performance.